With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
For the past 10 weeks, the drivers of the Precision Racing League have battled in about every flavor of racing competition, from stock cars to sports cars, from Donington to Daytona, and from Tuesday night racing to slightly later Tuesday night racing. But now, the very best from all 10 classes of PRL racing come together in the same cars, on the same track, at the same time. Welcome to the inaugural Precision Racing League All-Star Invitational. Hi everybody, my name is Joey Tebben, joined by Arjuna Kankapati in the booth here tonight, here to bring you all of the All-Star action this evening. Arjuna, it's the first time we've ever held an event like this. We're bringing the best of the best of the best together, and we can't predict what's going to happen. You can already see some of the chaos on the screen that we'll get into in a moment, but this is going to be a historic night for the PRL.
Absolutely. You know, drivers get a couple of weeks off to blow off some steam, and what better way to do so than to break them out for an All-Star Invitational. Bragging rights very much on the line as we build up to 2023 Season 4, another 10 weeks of competition in the Precision Racing League.
Well, as this is a new event, it's probably best that we explain how things are going to work tonight. And it all starts with the drivers who were invited. Every single driver who won a race across 10 classes of Precision Racing League competition this season, I won't get into all of them, but it's everything from stock cars to sports cars to production cars to open wheel cars. They're all going to be here, and they've all been invited. They're going to compete in a 2-race total point affair. Pro 2 Lights, the Jumpy Trucks at Wild West Motorsports Park, and the Cadillac CTSV, the GT-style car, at Daytona. It's going to be crazy pack racing and crazy dirt racing, but before we get into that, there is the last chance qualifier. That's what you saw on your screen coming into tonight, and that is for every driver who didn't win a race this season. There's 2 slots available for them, with 2 classes of drivers. Drivers who have won the PRL before, but not this season. They're the past winners. and drivers who have never won before. The top driver from each of those classes will advance into the All-Star Invitational, and that'll make our full field. That's a lot of information, but it'll make more sense once we get into it.
I think the one thing that we can take away from all of this is new exciting stuff. That's the thing that most of these drivers are looking forward to. We say it's a chance for them to blow off some steam, but at the same time, dirt racing, that's I think something that not many of them have too much experience with, and let's be honest, figure eights and then Cadillacs at Daytona ovals. That's not a combination, Joey, that many of these drivers would have raced at in any sort of serious competition.
Well, before we can get into the action at Irwindale, it's time to thank all the people who make all of this possible here on RaceSpotTV. And first and foremost, Advanced Sim Racing is helping to bring the coverage tonight. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and also get a 5% discount, also using the Precision 5 coupon code. This coverage is also brought to you by The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance. Truly put yourself in the driver's seat with The Butt Kicker. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, handbrake, or sequential shifter, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed and check them out. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And last but not least, at the end of their first season in the PRL, it's Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Arjuna, I know your sim room is full of mystery parts and carbon fiber and front wings and all sorts of things. I think we should ship you off to Irwindale because you're getting a lot of body parts out of this thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the qualifying session that all these drivers have got to nail because they have got to be so perfect. Not with their technique, but in staying out of the madness. And you'll note the two classes on the left side, white numbers, of course, and then yellow numbers. Only one of each is going to advance on forward. I'm not sure this qualifying session is really going to mean much in the long-term scheme of things.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, track position. We talk a lot about mentality, putting yourself at the head of the field. Well, that all goes down the drain when you end up getting T-boned at about 100 miles per hour. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that during the race. But you will notice that damage is off. Damage healing is on. You can get into as big of a crash as you want, but as long as you're not upside down, the sim will repair your car and you can keep going. It's a unique dynamic. We've never had that in the Precision Racing League before, but it's kind of necessary because if we didn't have that, we would have 0 finishers at the figure eight at the end of 15 minutes.
The thing to note as well through this figure eight, taking a look from up above, is how drivers are going to be attacking these corners, because there is a little bit of technique that's going to be involved, right, in minimizing some of your angles and trying to carry the momentum, especially being heads up and trying to, I'm not going to say use your F3 box, let's be honest, that's the most useless tool today, but use your eyes, because you'll be looking up a lot and hoping you're not tagged like that.
Remember, every driver in this field did not win a race this season, so they're all trying to get those last 2 spots in the All-Star Invitational coming up a little bit later. Those will both be 20-minute long races. It never gets old watching these intersections. I was in the practice session for about half an hour before we got in the air here, and it never gets old. Crashing cars that's why these races exist. That's why demolition derbies exist. It never stops being fun.
New damage model gets a workout, and I gotta say it's looking great. The only disappointment, I know there are logistically sound reasons for it, but there's no jump. I was looking forward to the jump, Joey.
Unfortunately, the jump would have meant for a smaller field, and we did want to give everybody the chance to race, so we did go with the non-jump variety. You see people continuing to fall through. That's the 24 in the middle. James O'Brien goes to pole. I do want to tell you a couple of stories about these drivers, because in the 2 classes we mentioned, there's winners and non-winners. There's some of the most successful drivers in PRL history in this Invitational. James O'Brien, many-time champion, many-time winner. Nick McLaughlin, one of the most one of the winningest drivers in PRL GT3 history. He's in the field because he didn't win this season. He's got to fight through and survive this race if he wants to be in the All-Star Invitational.
Yeah, and look at the whites. Those the white names on the left-hand side, those are the past winners. The yellows are the non-winners, those that have maybe been a part of it and shown some speed but haven't been able to grab that success just yet, and they'll be hungry to be able to show that they can fight through something like this. Let's be honest, qualifying session right now, the margins that we see, irrelevant. They do not matter right now, Joey. It's all going to come down to what actually happens when we go racing, and you're just having to see how, even if it looks smooth for a while, one moment you can suddenly find yourself in chaos.
There's poor old James Carter there in the Atomic Geezers MX-5 getting turned around. But up at the top, this shouldn't really be a surprise. Graham Wildman on pole right now, was in the GR86 series in the PRL this season. Came very, very close at ending Alexis Moisen's 10 out of 10 win streak in that series at the end of the season. So he's definitely used to production-style cars like this, slow machinery, nimble machinery. Kevin Bergquist as well won multiple races in the MX-5 series. That's why he's one of our past winners. But they're all being beaten right now by Maverick Davis, one of our NASCAR Cup Series driver, made his PRL debut this season. And right now things are looking good for him as qualifying comes to an end. If you're on a lap, you can finish it. You've got about 20 seconds to do so.
Oh, you're going to get the chance to finish it. You're not just worried about the avoidance of any car contact. You want to make sure you get no 0Xs as well, so that don't think there's too many drivers that will improve. I think that was definitely the most chaotic qualifying session I have ever been a part of, Joey, and I have no doubt I will never be a part of anything as chaotic as that.
Oh boy, well, qualifying about to come to an end. One more driver left to cross the line, and it's kind of a surprise at the top of the table. Maverick Davis of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series made his debut this season. Didn't get to win a race, but he will start from the head of the field in the number 39 car. Alongside him, it's going to be the Orange Machine, the Graham Cam himself. Very successful and a big fandom in the YouTube chat. Graham Wildman starts on the outside row. Kevin Bergquist and James O'Brien, two race winners in the PRL in the past, will start alongside each other, ahead of GT3 fixed champion from many seasons ago, Michael Terrafino, alongside Patrick Cowgill, who's also won a race in this car in the PRL. Eric Kulaga trades his Ford GT in for a Miata, and Doug Evans starts alongside him. Nicholas Collender starts alongside Mark Kalin, then it's Tristan Callahan and Chad Kibbe down to the end of the top dozen. Unlucky 13th went to one of our GR86 drivers, Matthew Cherwick, trying to channel the spirit of Dale there, and Nick McLaughlin trying to channel the spirit of Canada, chugging some maple syrup in his photo. Brett Punkari always bringing the delicious-looking paints alongside Matthew R.D. Campbell. Then it's Daniel Knight and Mike Witt, two Xfinity drivers that I competed against this season, a little bit deeper in the field. Richard Swindell is a Formula 3 driver for Atomic Geezers, starts alongside Colton Easterday, and it's double Colton Lane on row number 11, alongside the most charitable driver in the PRL, it's Mr. James Carter. Matt Gagnon and Tom Macy round out row number 12, and three more drivers, Jim Westerfield 25th, Andrew Sharp shockingly low in the order in 26th, and poor old Brett Adams had some internet issues in qualifying, but he is back in the session, he's gridded up, and he'll start shotgun on the field. We've watched qualifying, Arjuna. There's not much more we can say. It's going to be more of that. It's going to be more chaos, more action, and you got to survive.
15 minutes. That's what these drivers have to survive. And let's not forget we're taking two, not necessarily the top two, as we get ready to go racing.
Waiting for a few more drivers to grid up. It's a little bit of a smoke show from Kevin Bergquist. I think he's revving the engine to burn a little bit of fuel. But we're just waiting for the clock to tick down. A few more drivers still waiting to grid up, getting all their beauty rest in, getting their preparation in. I can feel the tension in the air, Arjuna, and I think we're very lucky that damage healing is on, because at the end of lap 1, I imagine we're going to see about 10 cars with heavy damage once that first intersection comes.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go. Lights build. These drivers are ready to go.
And the lights are about to drop at Irwindale. A little bit of a jump start. I think that was Patrick Cowgill in the background. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty for that, but we are green for the last chance qualifier at Irwindale. Who will get those 2 spots to advance into the All-Star Invitational? The first intersection's coming right now. Everybody makes it through on lap 1, but as everybody starts to file out, we're going to start seeing those first intersections for Maverick Davis.
Yeah, and I wonder who's going to be the first victim claimed here. First time through, We're going to get through, but look behind, already a couple of spinners.
Tristan Callahan and the Mario car having a little bit of trouble, but this is where it gets dicey for Maverick Davis and that gray Miata up front. He's checking up for the intersection, and Graham Wildman takes the lead. The chat goes wild as Davis preserves himself smartly, but Graham Wildman full throttle through the middle. He makes it to the lead. Is he going to survive the intersection? Yes, he does.
I think this is the great thing, right? We're not even going to be looking at all the other things that are happening further down. It's going to be so crazy up towards the front as Terrafino and Berquist come together, and now they're scampering for the hills in the top 3.
Kevin Berquist's got to get back in line, get back in the order of the track. You don't want to get disqualified, and you don't want to accidentally put yourself a lap above the field. There was a big intersection there. Andrew Sharp with heavy damage. I think James Carter's in trouble, and that's Doug Evans turned around, trying to figure out where the track goes. He doesn't know where he is.
He's pointed in the right direction now if he can get that figured out in time. Timing and scoring, trying to figure out what's going on. But as it stands right now, Wildman, O'Brien have been able to survive 1.5 minutes. That's all we've run so far, Joey. 90 seconds.
Feels like it's been 10 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear. It's starting to look like the IndyCar race at Laguna Seca in the middle of the field. Andrew Sharp's in trouble. A couple more drivers in trouble. But somehow, against all odds, Graham Wildman must have a reverse magnet at the head of his car, because him and James O'Brien have survived every single one of these intersections. James O'Brien almost loses it again. And then we got to go back one position. I think Matt Gagnon, luckiest driver in the field, has gone from 23rd to 3rd.
I think timing and scoring's having a bit of a tough time trying to keep up with what's going on. I thought Matt Gagnon had spun in the opening couple of laps of the race. There's another spin behind. James O'Brien gets tagged up in that one.
Oh dear, he was having such a good run, but he keeps it going. He's still perfectly fine, and remember, he's still in the lead of that past winners class. And you just saw his rival Daniel Knight get collected. He's trying to get everything back in the right direction, but he's now in second in that past winners class. He gets turned around again by Mark Kalin, and suddenly Patrick Cowgill is the leader in the past winners class if he can catch James O'Brien.
Yes, there's still 4 seconds there, so even with all the tumultuous lap or so for James O'Brien, still holds on to the leading class. Graham Wildman, by the way, all that experience in this, I don't want to say figure 8 type of racing, but slower, maybe 3 wide sort of racing, has been able to manage the situation so well. And as he continues to see other drivers stack up, and I can't even pick up who all is getting mixed up in this right now, Wildman runs clear at the front.
Arjuna, I think you've commentated about every level of sim racing, from the start at the bottom to the very top. I don't think anything has been more of a challenge than this.
I don't even call this a challenge, because I'm just enjoying this. I don't even need to try and actually commentate on it.
Of course Graham Wildman's leading, first and foremost. He has Wild in his name, and we know that, ooh, baby, it's a Wildman. So of course he's going to be good at this. And amazingly, I don't think he's made a single bit of contact in this entire heat so far. Maverick Davis had a little bit of bad luck, our pole sitter. He's fallen back, but he's just trying to survive and make sure he stays within touching distance of the leader. And I think as I say that, Graham Wildman's finally made a little bit of contact. No, he's not. He's okay. No,
that was just because I think James O'Brien got tangled up in something. You can see all bar the top 7 are now 1 lap down officially. So that goes to show the nature of what we are seeing right now. I mean, just look at this. Look at this.
It's a parking lot. It's incredible. There's like a quarry behind, or a steel mill or something. We're gonna have to melt all these cars down afterwards.
We don't need the timing tower right now. Let's be honest. We just need to see the chaos.
Let's see. I'm gonna let the sounds speak for themselves, because I have a feeling we're about to see an intersection here. We're about to see a big crash. Let's let it breathe. Let's let it sing. Crunch.
Was that? No, it was not Graham Wildman. I got very excited for a second. Although the gap at the front is now down to 1 second. Could we have a fight on our hands?
We might just have a fight in our hands. Incredibly, it's only been 5 minutes. I feel like I've been here for 5 years, and we're not even a third of the way through this very short race. Maverick Davis still second. Against all odds, the most unlucky driver in the PRL, Colton Easterday, has managed to get a third, and Maverick Davis is collected in the latest pileup.
Oh, and it's such a shame as well, because it was really starting to come down. Healing damage on means that the car eventually will be drivable again, and Davis is going to lose out to Colton Easterday, is he? Around the outside comes the 95. Colton, 17 positions gained, and the charge comes to an end.
That's the commentator's curse, or that's just the figure 8 curse. We know Colton Easterday is a very, very unlucky driver in the PRL. He tends to get collected in incidents that aren't his fault at times, and the figure 8, we thought it might be a chance to reverse that for him, but of course he can't escape what has affected everybody. There's the Atomic Geezers car make a little bit of contact with Matthew Cherwick there, trying to channel the spirit of Dale in that 3 car. This is insane. Everybody's either going to be sweating right now or they're going to have an incredible headache from all the contact noise.
I hope no one... Well, I'm assuming there are some direct drive wheelbases within the community here. I hope they are all turned down to their minimum sort of force, because my wrists are feeling the pain just from watching this. Now all but the top 3, 1 lap down, I will just point out. Graham Wildman's about to go wild when he puts the field 1 lap down.
But you can never be so comfortable. You see Colton Lane there spun, a couple drivers to Graham's inside. He's had it good for the first half of this race, but you can only have it good for so long. He's been very, very lucky. That luck's going to run out eventually, though, as he puts another lap on Brett Pancari there. There's cars spinning in front of him with every corner.
You say lucky. I say this is... Oh,
there it is.
There's the luck that comes to an end.
He's still got a 12-second buffer over Maverick Davis as somebody goes tumbling. I think that was Andrew Sharp.
It was.
The student driver going for a barrel roll, but Wildman still got an 8-second lead.
Top 4 left on the lead lap now. Yeah, this, Joey, you came up with some wild combinations, and I will say, we did start with the wildest one of them all.
Of course, that was kind of the idea. If you're going to make the All-Star Invitational, if you didn't win a race this season, you've got to fight for it, you've got to survive for it, you got to suffer a little bit. And at the end of this, both of our advancers, whether it is Graham Wildman and James O'Brien or whether some new drivers get up there, they're certainly going to have earned it.
For sure. And you've got to think that it is not just an advantage for the drivers who have won races to come in with maybe a bit more confidence, as that's a car pointed in the wrong direction. But the fact that they haven't had to go through this experience will, A, aid them in life expectancy. It's not taking years away from their life just being here, but definitely will mean they're less sweaty and their heart rate will be calmer going into that first race, which is going to be an interesting one in and of itself.
You'll like this, Arjuna. I did see Tommy Milner in the chat, and he says, "Is this the IndyCar race replay?"
Oh, God.
It looks awfully familiar.
Yeah, it did. That was what we were averaging, about 8 laps before a caution.
Something like that.
It was not
no
great,
cautions
was it?
here, though. No cautions here. That's the beauty of it.
I do have the power to try and throw a caution, don't I?
Oh, no. I think if you threw a caution now, it would probably end the race, but that would make Graham Wildman very happy. That would make some YouTube chatters very, very happy.
Yes. This is... where you need to go if you don't want race control, and Graham Wildman just turned around Tristan Callahan and he's going to just pick his way through a bit more madness in front of him. I've got to say, these drivers, we've still got most of them out there. Even the ones that have had to come down pit lane, even with damage turned off, Joey.
Yeah, luckily, when you do have damage healing turned on, the only thing that can take you out of the race is rolling and ending up upside down and not being able to flip yourself over. That may be an issue in the jumpy trucks in a couple of minutes' time, but the Miatas are pretty bottom heavy. They don't tend to end up upside down.
The good thing as well when it comes to the trucks that we've got coming up is they're the 400 horsepower 2-wheel drive version, so they're a little bit more beginner friendly. As a big stack up in front of James O'Brien, who leads in that non-winners class. But maybe not for long, because T-boned out of nowhere. Where's Daniel Knight to come through and maybe take advantage?
Luckily for James O'Brien, he actually has a full lap lead on Daniel Knight, so as long as he doesn't get collected in about 3 more incidents, he's pretty safe. But he does have a long way to go before he can survive that. There's cars interlocked everywhere. There's another intersection coming up here. We ride on board with Daniel Knight. He makes it through, but he gets collected by Brett Pancari after the intersection.
Yeah, this is something. I gotta say, my wrists are definitely glad that I'm not in this one. Colton Easterday's in front of Tristan Callahan. The wild thing is as well that the F3 box, the relative that we so often talk about in iRacing, can only give you so much information, right? Because it can tell you directly who's behind and maybe alongside you here. But as you're approaching the intersection, it gives you no indication of who's coming up from the other side. And so often with smoke as well, you're a little bit blind.
You're very, very blind. You got to hope you have a spotter, and there are some drivers in the field who have a spotter right now. I believe Tommy Milner's actually acting as a spotter right now. Graham Wildman has a spotter that messaged me before the race, and I think a few others do have a spotter to help him out. And I think that may be what's making the difference for Wildman right now, because he has somebody in his ear saying, well, there's about to be death here. It's best that you check up.
It sounds like cheating to me. We should enforce for the next LCQ, no spotters. Every driver for themselves.
Even with those spotters, though, Wildman has been collected a couple times, and he's got potentially some trouble up there. I think that was James Carter or Richard Swindell's getting turned right ahead of him. There's Richard, one of our Formula 3 drivers, and I'm not biased at all, as another Atomic Racing driver. I wanted to see some of my teammates survive, but it's not gone too well for him and for James Carter.
No bias on this side of the commentary booth. I'm just enjoying what's going on, and we are also seeing some pretty feisty racing, and now in front of our leader, Graham Waldman can't take avoiding action, and as Colton Easterday goes around, Waldman goes around as well, but still 10 seconds in front. We've burned almost 11 minutes now, Joey. We've got 3.5 to go. My heart rate, though, not yet coming down.
Yeah, we need that whoop monitor, I think. We need that on all the drivers in the field as well. It might be 0 at this point. It might have been too much. Oh, Wildman got lucky there. He's been having some connection issues, I think, and that was a far less bad collision than it could have been. But even with that one little bit of contact, Maverick Davis has closed that gap down quite a bit. It's only 3 seconds now.
I will say Tommy Milner jumped back into the chat to say, spotting is a strong word, laughing is closer to it. I feel like that is the appropriate level of spotting that we should encourage. Someone in your ear who cannot stop giggling about what is happening out on track right now.
That's very helpful. And Eric Kulaga, look at Eric Kulaga up into 2nd place in the past winners class. He could have a shot here with one more issue from James O'Brien that could potentially put Eric Kulaga on the same lap as him. It could potentially be the shock of a century, the underdog performance of the day for Eric Kulaga if he can survive. But he's got to hope for more bad luck for O'Brien.
I mean, 17 seconds the gap. He is used to being an underdog, let's not forget. Drives in the Ford, but he's got but O'Brien's right behind them in effect, and as they're just playing bumper cars in front, oh goodness gracious me. These drivers have done a remarkable job to navigate through all of this. The question will now become, Joey, do we introduce the jumps for the next LCQ?
It is entirely possible. We might have to introduce heat racing to do that, but I think that's definitely on the ideas board. I also got a mention from Graham Wildman's crew chief, in quotation marks. He doesn't actually have a spotter. They're essentially just in a Discord call with him, laughing at all of his misfortune and also celebrating the lot of good fortune he's been having so far.
Yes, a lot of good fortune. 4 seconds is that margin now up towards the front, but with, 2 minutes to go, which means 6 laps to survive. Hopefully for Wildman, there is enough of a buffer to be able to slow down like we saw some drivers do on the opening lap of the race, which was quite interesting to see just how some cars tried to come to a dead stop to avoid getting tangled up.
James O'Brien and Eric Kulaga were on the same lap for a moment there. That race might not be over. So we don't know who's going to win in the past winners class. We don't know who's going to win in the non-winners class either, as Wildman gets checked up again. The gap is coming down and down and down to Maverick Davis. The orange car of Wildman, the silver car of Davis in the background. This isn't over with 3 laps to go.
Definitely not over the shoulder of Maverick Davis. That's a proper racing driver name as well, if I've ever heard one, as he tries to now find his way to the inside, just hoping as well that if Graham Waldman gets mixed up in any of this, there's the opportunity to slip on through. Less than 60 seconds now left to go on the clock. Just a handful more of those crossovers to come.
Oh, big contact for Wildman. He's got to get on the brakes to avoid the wall, and that's Maverick Davis on the inside. He turns Colton Easterday around, and Wildman gets collected. Maverick Davis takes the lead.
And in the closing stages, and surely with too little time for Graham Waldman to come back on through.
You never know, though. It can all come to an end very quickly as Maverick Davis learned the other way around. Through the intersection he goes. He makes it through, but he gets hit by Brett Punkari. He's wide. Graham Wildman is looking from the background, hoping that Maverick Davis gets collected one more time. He's got Patrick Cowgill spinning in front of him. Wildman's trying to make it through some of his fellow GR86 drivers from the series, and Maverick Davis is going to take the white flag here, I believe, for one more time around.
Wow. Oh my days! And now Maverick Davis gets tangled, but he's got the good luck on his side. That one final trip could have been the most difficult one of all, but the margin coming down, not going to be enough. Maybe not.
Davis gets taken out. I think he may have crossed the line there accidentally, but that was not the end of the race, or was it? That was the finish line. Yes, that was the finish line. So I think Maverick Davis may have won on the track, or Graham Wildman may win on the track as well.
Graham Waldman just finished the race.
But did Maverick Davis finish the final lap, or did he get punted into the finish line before that lap was over?
Without a shadow of a doubt, got punted across the finish line.
So now we've got a dilemma on our hands here, Arjuna. We know for sure the winner of the past winners class was James O'Brien, but we don't know who actually won the race between Maverick Davis and Graham Wildman, and I'm starting to think we might have to promote them both into the All-Star Invitational.
I mean, if we've got the space, why not is what I would proffer. While the rest of the drivers finish things up, why don't we see if we can go ahead and take a look at those closing laps of the race, because goodness gracious me, as they do some donuts to burn it down, did we see some excitement? Here's a look at Davis starting the penultimate lap of the race, and still, crucially, comfortable for now.
So here he comes to the intersection. Okay, he survives this time. So this is the final lap. No, it's the penultimate lap, you said?
Yes, penultimate lap right now.
Okay, so we're going to watch him come across the line. This time, he survives, he makes it through. This is the white flag, contact with Brett Pancari. And I believe he only makes it through half of a lap here before he gets punted into the finish line. Let's see it coming into the intersection. Contact there, and he crosses the line with only half a lap.
Yes, but to be fair, he was probably going to cross the line first anyway.
I think the only thing we can do, I'm calling upon our admin-in-chief, Jerome Bertiom, who's in charge of advancing the drivers. We're going to advance both Maverick Davis and Graham Wildman, because it would be too complicated to pick which one of them actually won this race. They're both going to the All-Star Invitational, in addition to James O'Brien, who won in the past winners class. I think that's a fair compromise for everybody. But it was them as the top three. All three of them are going up into the All-Star Invitational against all odds, and it's very fitting for James O'Brien, a 5-time PRL NASCAR Cup Series champion, one of the most successful drivers in the PRL. He'll be moving on. Eric Kulaga tried his best, came very, very close, but the driver we know for driving the Ford in the GT3 series will end his season here. Colton Easterday, a fantastic run for him to survive all the chaos in the top 5. And Nicholas Collender, Daniel Knight, Tristan Callahan, Matthew Campbell, and Nick McLaughlin round out the top 10. Didn't see much of Nick, but good for him to get a top 10 here to end this crazy event. Patrick Cowgill, a winner in the MX-5 machinery a couple seasons ago, doesn't get it done tonight. And James Carter, the F3 driver, the Atomic Racing Geezer's head, he finishes P12 in the top dozen. Brett Pancari and Tama Macy down to 14th, ahead of the other Atomic Geezers driver, Richard Swindells. Then Brett Adams and Colton Lane, two more of our past winners, couldn't get it done tonight. Matt Gagnon, Mike Witt, and Chad Kibbe, three drivers I had to race against in the NASCAR Xfinity Series this season. Maybe that was bad luck for them, as it didn't give them their advancement spot. But the hits keep on coming. Michael Terrafino, two-time GT3 fixed champion in the PRL, didn't have any luck tonight. Kevin Berquist qualified up front, but had a ton of bad luck. Ended up at the back of the field, right ahead of Mark Kalin, Matthew Cherwick, Jim Westerfield, Doug Evans, and poor old Andrew Sharp. You know, Andrew Sharp put in the effort of organizing the GR86 series all season long, and what does he get to repay his favor? He ends up 27th out of 27. Bad luck for him, but he'll be coming back for the next race, or he'll be coming back for the next season, and maybe he'll have some better luck in the next All-Star Invitational. But there is the remnants of Irwindale. All the cars are gone. I think Arjuna's going to be out there with a broom, sweeping up all the carbon fiber bits, trying to pick everything up, because that was crazy. And we're about to have even more racing coming up, because we've got the two All-Star Invitational races coming up now. Jumpy Trucks at Wild West, and the Cadillac CTSV with a custom setup at Daytona. We're about to have a lot of fun, Arjuna.
Oh, that is for sure. Of course, now we add an extra driver into the mix as well. That's going to be interesting to see how they'll fare. Wild West is, the name implies it, one of the wildest of the short course tracks. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they'll go out there. Of course, just coming off the close of a short course World Championship season. Going to be curious to see how they get on with 400 horses under their feet.
Got some administration to do. We've got to invite those three drivers to the league, but while we wait for that, we're going to throw it to the other special part of tonight. All of you who have been with us in the PRL for many seasons know that we draw prizes at the end of the season. Every driver who completed in the majority of the season is put into a big pot to draw prizes, and Arjuna is standing by with Jerome to draw the first batch of those prizes.
Hi everyone, welcome for this first wave of prize draw. So thanks everyone for this amazing season that we had. So let's start with the first drawing that we're gonna do for the PR coaching. So we are drawing 4 sessions of coaching by one of the Precision Racing Esport Pro driver. And the winner are Matthew Cherwick, Jordan Slater, Ted Lowendick, and James Carter. So congratulations, guys, for winning that prizes, and you will receive all the information soon about how to claim it. And now we move on with Mr. Edge. So big thanks to Mr. Edge for sponsoring us again for another season. And last season, I guess you all saw that on Discord, Mr. Edge was providing stunning picture on a weekly basis. He's gonna continue doing that for the next season. And for 2023 S3, we're gonna be drawing 2 package of 10 custom sim racing picture courtesy of Mr. Edge. And the 2 winner are Craig Doucet and Brett Karikoff. And to finish this first wave, let's thanks Moradness to Daniel Morad and Jessica. Big thanks to them for sponsoring us and to provide amazing product for sim racing. Whether you're looking for a shirt, pair of gloves, socks, they are providing very, very good apparel, and many thanks to them for the support. And the 2 winner of a pair of gloves are Brett Poncari and Robert Gambill. So thank you very much, everyone, and let's see the first race of the night.
Fantastic stuff there. The first batch of prizes drawn. There's going to be another prize draw coming up after race number 1 of the All-Star Invitational here. You're going to have to wait a little bit for that because it's Jumpy Truck time. It is going to be incredible. You see a fantastic and a very, very large field of PRL race winners. They're all ready to go here for race 1 of the PRL All-Star Invitational. This is when points start to get scored, and this is when everything starts to get on the line.
Yep, and again, this is a discipline where many of them will be uncomfortable. I see many rookie licenses in the 29 trucks that are currently in the field. The other thing to note as we make our way into Sparks, Nevada, is the fact that you look from up above. There's just 4 corners here, Joey, but it's that undulation, a climb into turn 1, the descent into turn 2. Understanding how this all works, there's a vicious bump on the entry into the final corner, and maximizing your momentum is going to be key.
There's only a few drivers in the field who actually have sort of dirt truck experience like this, off-road experience like this, because we've never run an off-road series in the PRL before, but Trent Dinkel is very, very successful, or has been very successful in the past in this style of racing. He'd never actually driven the Pro 2 Light before tonight, but he's got a lot of experience in the Pro 4 machinery and the more high-powered truck machinery. We'll see how that translates for our NASCAR Cup Series champion this season. But qualifying has advanced here. Only 5 minutes. It's open qualifying, so if you want to set a lap, Arjuna, you better get out there very quickly.
And that's going to be a major talking point, because track evolution, you can already kind of see that we see a bit of a line being drawn into the dirt, and that's what we sometimes call the blue groove, the rubber washing away the dirt and then being set into the track surface itself. It means that often in this sort of racing we see track resets and mechanisms by which the track is brought back into a ideal racing state, but you've got to make do with what you've got. Why don't I take us around for a quick lap here at this wonderful Wild West Motorsports Park. You start down the hill and the drivers will try and run themselves with as much speed as they can over some jumps in towards the opening corner. It is a climb up the hill, but you want to brake earlier than you think because it's all about staying as tight to the inside as possible. That's what Trent Dinkel understands, but as he bullies his way down with another car, watch as the earth falls away from you down through turn number 2, and a very similar thing is going to happen here. Brake early so that you're tighter to the apex, get onto the power earlier. Two-wheel drive means you can't rely on all 4 corners of the car to dig yourself out, just the back end to point you in a straight line. And that's why as you come through turn 3, you're trying to be on the power, you're trying to massage the car as you build your way up towards the very highest point of the track, but that two-wheel drive nature means you're always fighting against the back end to step away from you. Now, this is that bump on the braking into the final corner where Trent Dinkel already sets the car up left before he enters into the corner, just trying to make sure that as you bounce over the bumps, the car stays settled, it stays set up into where you want it to be. On the run to the line, Trent Dinkel's going to set a 53.9, which is a relatively good time. Qualifying here going to be very important, Joey.
Yeah, that was all great to talk through the lap, Arjuna, but critically that lap ended turn 1 when Trent punted somebody out of the way. So he's only going to get about 4 more chances here. With 3 minutes left to go, he's got to get the action on. But I do want to bring you to one driver who's been very, very important to this event. First of all, he designed all these custom paints you're seeing now that we've gotten to the All-Star race for real. But also, this is Jeff Evans riding in some very special colors. If you're wondering why Jeff is in this sort of tan and red car instead of his normal pink machinery, well, that's because he's racing in support of CM Pennington tonight. CM Pennington is a longtime member of the PRL community. He raced for a long time. He used to host races and pay out to the winners. He used to pay for practice and coaching for his teammates. He was just kind of an awesome guy in general. Still is an awesome guy in general. Unfortunately, CM is fighting cancer right now, so he's not able to race in the PRL tonight or next season, and his teammate Zach Panzarella has kind of led the charge for us to pay tribute to CM while he's unable to race himself and make sure we can give him the thanks that he deserves after all he's done for the PRL over the past many, many years. So, CM, we hope you're watching. We think you might be, and we hope Jeff can do you proud in those colors. And also the entire field is running that decal you see on the head of Jeff's truck, the 40 Forever decal. It's run on every single truck, and that's run on every single car in the PRL NASCAR series in the upcoming season. So hopefully we put on a heck of a race, and hopefully Jeff does you proud. Because unfortunately the caveat there is Jeff Evans didn't win a race this season, but because he designed all these paint schemes, because he was so helpful to the event, we thought, you know what, we might as well throw him a little bit of charity. We might as well let him into the event.
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. Let's not forget the amount of work that goes into doing all of those paints. The commentators race that we did last year, I did all the paints for that. It's not easy. Jeff Evans will also compete in speed. That we have no doubt have seen him compete across the different disciplines. Trent Dinkle's finally been able to punch in a time, and, well, maybe no surprise, one of 2 drivers with an A license, so has competed in plenty of races in these trucks, also has the highest I rating in the field. Only 2/10 quicker, though, than Wayne Castile.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what the colors symbolize all the different colors of the series of the PRL. So Trent Dinkle is in that sort of gold color, symbolizing that he raced in the NASCAR Cup Series this season. Wayne Castile, he raced in LMP3. He's actually our LMP3 champion for the first time in the PRL. He's got the orange car, and some of his LMP3 competitors, and Alec Bergstrom, Adam Brockway, they're going to be in that same color. Trent Dinkle's got a few Cup drivers in the field as well with him. Abner Acosta is here. Maverick Davis doesn't have the color, but he raced in the Cup Series this year, and Landon Mills as well, one of those Cup drivers. But 20 seconds left. It's no surprise to see Trent Dinkle at the top of the sheet, but Wayne Castile in a very different discipline than he's used to, doing a great job in P2.
I think I'm even more shocked by Beckon Jasir, someone that usually is on Tarmac A, but is not too unfamiliar with what downforce feels like as well. This is a very different sort of a discipline, and so as the qualifying session officially sees the checkered fly, drivers can improve the lap that they're on, but cannot set a time after that. Trent Dinkle's pole position probably relatively safe, and that's going to be important because point system pretty much the same as the Precision Racing League regular season format. 1 point for the pole.
Exactly. 1 point for the pole, 47 points for a win. Then it goes down to 41 points for second. So wins are very important. We're going to be doing some live calculations tonight to figure out all those points. It's going to be complicated for us. It's going to be complicated for you. But we're going to try and find a solution once the end of race 2 comes, because it's a 2-race total point affair. You've got to be successful in the jumpy trucks on the dirt and in the NASCAR style race with those Cadillacs at Daytona. And what a move to the end of the qualifying session for our F3 driver. Bop. Hoot and boo-bay-doo bop. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? He's up to P2 on the front row. Very different from open wheel machinery as Boris Ovando almost flips it.
Yeah, definitely a very different sort of a challenge. You can see there just how much these drivers are going to try and get to the inside. You mentioned correctly that Trent Dinkle invalidated his first qualifying attempt when he hit the wall. That's not going to be a concern when we go racing. These drivers will be taking advantage of every little bit of track that they can find.
It's the first time ever in the PRL, the All-Star Invitational, the best of the best of the best race winners and very successful drivers only, and they're all about to do battle for the first time. It's Trent Dinkle, the NASCAR Cup Series champion from this season, starting alongside Kevin Sandiego, who won his first F3 race this season. Pittsburgh's own Wayne Castile starts in the third row, our LMP3 champion, alongside 2-time GT3 winner this season. It's Beckham Jasir. Boris Ovando and Richard Regan Jr. make up row number 3. Richard beat me to the Xfinity Series championship this season. Steve Loving won a NASCAR truck race this season. It's a very different truck tonight, as he starts alongside very fast, rapid Ray Dominguez from GT3 Fixed. Adam Brockway won an LMP3 race this season. He starts alongside a loser named Jeff Evans, who didn't win a single race this season, but we brought him in anyway. Reese Bogue, an Xfinity winner at Atlanta, starts alongside series admin and race winner J.R. Williams. And then unlucky 13th goes to inaugural GT3 winner this season. Won his first race, Jared Keane. As well, John T. Jones won his first race in the first round of the season in GT3 Fixed. James O'Brien advanced from the LCQ as our top past winner. He starts alongside the tire wizard Abner Acosta. Then it's Truck Series race winner Dallas Sullivan, starting alongside Truck Series champion Alan Dice. Ted Lowendick won a road race in the Xfinity Series. He starts on row number 10 alongside Dave Peterson, who won in the Radical Series. Then it's Landon Mills, a Cup Series debutant, alongside Hayden Palumbo from the Truck Series. Alec Bergstrom starts alongside our LCQ transferee, Graham Wildman, the second of them, rather. Dominic Olivier won some races in GT3 Sprint this season. He starts alongside our Formula 3 champion, Julio Palacio, who didn't actually win a race during the season, but because he won the whole championship, we decided we'd let him in. He's right ahead of our GT3 Fixed champion, Aroy Rexoy, and two unlucky drivers were unable to get a qualifying lap in, Lou Christian and Maverick Davis, both from the NASCAR Cup Series. Maverick advancing from the LCQ. That's a lot of names. That's a lot of wins, Arjuna, and they're all about to fire into turn one, that hairpin, in a matter of moments.
And I think with a standing start, which is something that they traditionally only do at Crandon when they are 10 wide, instead they would traditionally roll in a rolling formation to get underway, but as the lights build, ready to go for 20 minutes of what's gonna be chaos.
For the first time ever in the PRL, it's an off-road race. The jumpy trucks prepare to do battle at Wild West, and we're green. It's a terrible start from Trent Dinkle, letting Kevin Sandiego and Wayne Castile swallow him up at the start. It's Sandiego in the pink truck versus Castile as everybody files in behind him into turn one.
Who's going to be brave down the hill, though, because gravity works against you. You need to brake early behind. Utter chaos. Going up and over us is Abner Acosta. Another truck, Dallas Sullivan, plunges down the hill on its roof. The leaders are three abreast, but chaos as expected.
Damage healing is on again, so you got to make sure to point it straight, make sure your wheels are back on the ground. What a start for Wayne Castile to take the lead. They're still arguing in the background, but Trent Dinkle, the most experienced driver in this type of racing in the field, gets caught napping by the standing start.
It's not the easiest thing to get these machines rolling in the dirt, especially given that every truck's got a slightly different incline on this undulating main straightaway. Castile from San Diego and Dinkle, the top three. Let's not forget, track evolution's going to play such a big factor. San Diego almost cattywampus over the jump, and now to the inside of turn one.
San Diego nearly to the lead, but this is a switchback of a track. You're on the inside one corner, you're on the outside the next. We ride on board with the marshmallowy suspension of Trent Dinkle. He's going to send it to the inside. Is he going to get 2 for 1? He is for the moment. He's going to take the lead. Can Castile get the run on the outside? Yes, he can. Wayne Castile hangs on for the moment, but look at Beckham Desir. Look at Richard Regan 4 wide, and Dinkle flips. Dinkle flips and he ends up upside down. The favorite is out.
And that's the physical nature of short course racing as well. Desperation leads to Dinkle resetting to pit lane, joining Jared Keane and Boris Ovando Jr. Regan Jr. slides past Beckham Jasir and now to third.
The craziness has certainly lived up to expectations, Arjuna, and Trent Dinkle, the outright favorite for this race, is out. He's going to have to hope for some drama at Daytona and win that race if he wants to win the PRL All-Star Invitational. But look at this up front. Beckham Jasir, a GT3 driver, a road course driver, racing against the Oval Ace and Richard Regan Jr.
And again, I think the most difficult thing for these drivers is going to be understanding over 20 minutes how these trucks and how the tracks evolve as well. Regan Jr. almost gets bullied by Jasir and Dominguez, but 20 minutes, just to put this in context, Joey, is about double the race length of our World Championship races. It's a very long distance, and Castile now defends from San Diego.
Side by side into the fastest corner on the track, coming down the hill here. The inside works, the outside works. Kevin San Diego takes the lead, but he interlocks with Wayne Castile for a moment. They keep it pointed straight. You've got to be very careful in that final corner, Arjuna, because if you clip that fence just wrong, you can pass through and you end up in the scenery of Wild West.
Oh, absolutely, and you don't want to find yourself bouncing on the walls as well. You lose all sorts of control. These two are doing a great job, door to door now, for going on 3 corners and counting without losing too much ground to those behind. Castile barges San Diego wide, and now Regan Jr. gets stuck on the wall.
Richard Regan Jr. pointed backwards. He's able to get it pointed straight again. He's turning it around right ahead of J.R. Williams. But that's the first little issue of bad luck for Richard Regan Jr. We know he's going to be strong at Daytona coming up. He's been very successful on the super speedways this season, but he's got a lot to come back from. See Dave Peterson here in the 35 car in that gray machinery. The Radical Fix series was not actually broadcasted this season. It was sort of a test out of the new machinery, but Dave Peterson got a win. Legitimately, he beat champion Arnaud Genet, and he's getting his first chance in the spotlight of this season.
Who's that riding the wall? Slow for James O'Brien, who after advancing from a last chance qualifier, now loses a bunch of ground on that rise up in towards turn number 1. You mentioned that it's accumulation of points. Drivers need to be consistent in both races. They can't afford for moments like that for Maverick Davis and James O'Brien.
Maverick Davis upside down. I think he was able to get it rolled back on his wheels, so he doesn't have to tow. He's getting turned around again, though, as he recovers in the middle of the road. James O'Brien just trying to get pointed straight again, but the field isn't letting him.
He takes earlier. Was that Urexoy or Bergstrom? One of the two.
Julio Palacio, the F3 champion's upside down, but look at Beckham Jasir. Kevin Sandiego's starting to run away with this lead, while Beckham Jasir and Wayne Castile have an argument, and Jeff Evans has tried to knock down that wall in the final corner every single lap.
Yeah, there's action everywhere that you look, and the thing that we were mentioning is points are accumulated, right? So we'll get that update just in a few moments' time, but as it runs right now, of course, that bonus point that Trent Dinkle got, not going to be that much a benefit for him down in 25th position.
Not going to be much benefit, but anything can happen. If we have similar craziness in those Cadillacs at Daytona, which we most likely will, you never know what could happen. So you can't give up. There's still 15 minutes to go. I've got a rather mind-blowing statistic here. We've seen a lot of chaos. We've seen a lot of drama. We've seen a lot of crashes. But over 30% of PRL races in history have been won by drivers in this field. These are the best of the best racing right now. We're missing a few of our champions who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, the likes of Arnaud Genet, Karl Modoff, who finished second, Vincent Trepanier couldn't make it. They'll all be invited to next season's Invitational to get a chance. But even the drivers that are left, it's an incredible, incredible level of talent.
Unacceptable. Their commitment to the PRL clearly not sufficient as out of the final corner. Oh, Maverick Davis gets cattywampus but hangs on to the rear end. Yes, Reese Bogue will slither on through. Landon Mills in front, almost twisted up over the jump. This is a real trial by fire into off-road racing. 3 wide off of turn 1.
Reese Bogue, the NASCAR Truck Series champion from a season ago, or 2 seasons ago now, made his Xfinity debut this season, did end up winning a race at Atlanta at the Super Speedway, so he's used to crazy racing, and he's getting a little bit crazy with Landon Mills, a NASCAR Cup Series championship fighter this season with Trent Dinkle. There's a clip of the wall there for Maverick Davis, though, and he almost flips it.
Yeah, these 400 horsepower Pro 2 lights, by the way, compared to 700 horsepower Pro 2. So we cut out almost half the power to what they race at some of the top levels of competition. Two-wheel drive requires that little bit more control, like I was mentioning earlier, and so talking to some of those World Championship drivers, they prefer driving this. It requires you to get the most out of it, and Beckham Jasir is having to work to try and get past Wayne Castile.
Yes, we've got some incredibly big movers in the field. Unlike these top three started second, third, and fourth. The only positions they've made is when Trent Dinkle ended up getting flipped. But you see Dominic Olivier up 16 spots, Ted Lowendick up 11 spots, Maverick Davis up 18 spots, our LCQ winner. Reese Bogue just got turned around right ahead of him, though, so I think right as I gave him some good press, he's been in a little bit of trouble.
I tell you what, commentator's curse has been pretty strong today, hasn't it?
It has been, but what a job for Maverick Davis. This is why we promoted those LCQ winners. This is why we wanted some additional stories here, like Graham Wildman, who technically didn't win the LCQ on track, but it was enough of a weird sim racing moment that we thought it was best to promote him and Maverick Davis, and he's doing a great job, up 10 spots as well.
Hey, he's making the most of the situation, isn't he? And that's what you need to do. Oh, another one just getting all sorts of crossed up on the jump and the landing. You got to remember that you control these machines in the air. When you put the throttle down, the rear end of the truck takes a bit more of inertia. The front end comes up. Counter when you brake. The front end sits down, and you need to be in control. Loving on the outside will get almost bullied out of turn number 2, but on that run into turn 3, Loving, hold on.
See the multitude of lines here, but look at who's behind this battle. Trent Dinkle is a lap down, so he's not necessarily fighting for position here, but he's just trying to race for glory here. Make up as many spots as he can, maybe make up some spots on some drivers who are also a lap down. He's basically falling out of the sky onto some of these jumps. That's how hard he's pushing.
Yeah, and you can see he's got 9 seconds to the next car in front, and so that's the margin that he's trying to track right now. Just get every little bit that he can, almost halfway through this first race of, I was going to say the night, and then I realized that I can actually say that it's a broadcast actually in the night, Joey.
And you'll like this, Arjuna. I kind of set up these sessions to be a day simulation, as you saw somebody dead at the final corner there in the back of your screen. We started in the morning as Steve Loving gets turned around by Trent Dinkle. He's not going to be too happy about that with Trent Dinkle 1 lap down, but he keeps it going. We'll have a night race at Daytona after the day race here. We're going to go through a full day of sim racing, a full list of track conditions. And it's going to feel like a full day at the end of it.
Nice. I like the sound of that. I'm going to be very curious to see how the Cadillac races with what I believe is a custom fixed setup, correct?
Correct. We tested it out. We made sure it was as good for racing as a super speedway race could be.
That is setting the bar quite high, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to go. Speaking of points, by the way, just looking at the standings as they run right now, notice the difference between 1st and 10th. We're talking 14 points difference there, which is a pretty significant jump for a driver to have with just 2 races. There's not much time for someone like Trent Dinkle to have a bad race and make up for it. It also means for those that have had a good first race, there's going to be less pressure in the second race of the night.
That is correct. We ride on board here with 4th place Adam Brockway, who's done a great job. He's been moving forward, but Jeff Evans still on the attack. He's not racing like a special invitee who got a provisional. He's racing like everybody else in the field. He wants to win this thing. He wants to prove that he belongs in this All-Star Invitational, and right now he's challenging the guy who beat him to the Xfinity Series Championship, Richard Regan Jr.
Yeah, this, I'm sure, is very similar to what they've done in the past in that Xfinity Series. Totally nothing different, but you are seeing from Jeff just that seemingly understanding of how the track is evolving. He's a little bit tighter, he's a little bit calmer with the body language of the car right now, which I think is what you want to be seeing.
That is correct. We see the suspension here just marshmallowing up over the bumps. Richard's pulling away a little bit on the straights. I think Jeff might be a little bit quicker through the corners. He's got that figured out, but on exit, with such low-powered trucks, it's all about momentum here. And Richard Regan Jr. doing a great job of carrying the momentum. Wayne Castile doing a great job of getting his momentum back as he dives into the inside of Beckham Jasir. A little bit too wide, doesn't get the exit he needs.
Still making attempts, and that's the important thing right now. As the track is basically worn in right now, we have 29 machines circulating. That's way more than traditionally you'd see, and so that track state wears in a lot more quickly. We're not going to see too much more evolution from here. The drivers are just now data downloading, understanding what they need to do. That goes for both offense and defense. Beckham Jasir now is going to be trying to figure out how to defend, while Wayne Castile is going to have to try and figure out how to get back to second.
These are all drivers who are going to be fighting for championships in the PRL next season. I can guarantee Beckham Jasir, inconsistent, unfortunately, in the GT3 Sprint Series, but was a championship contender mathematically, won 2 races. He'll definitely be a contender. Kevin Sandiego, who finally sort of broke the duck in F3. He's always been successful in that series, but he's finished second so many times. Finally got his first F3 win, in addition to all of those MX5 wins he had in the previous season. He's riding high right now, and he is running away from the field, but he's got a lap traffic for the first time. That's Aero Urexoy, the GT3 Fixed champion, right ahead,
who had to deal with plenty of lap traffic on his way to the championship, and so I think you'll see Urexoy not pose too much of a challenge, but being the traffic here is a very different experience to, for example, at Spa, which is as smooth as you would like. This is not as smooth. Beckham Jasir has tipped himself over on 2 wheels.
Make sure not to flip. We've seen so many drivers end up upside down and in the pits. That's why Dominguez, Williams, RaceSpotTV, Jared Keane, and many more are out of the race or many laps down because they weren't able to get back on their wheels. Look at Adam Brockway, though. That's Wayne Castile's teammate. Both of them racing for the Moradness squad in LMP3. They fought for race wins all season long. And there's no team orders here either. Wayne Castile, Adam Brockway still throwing it at each other.
Well, you got to wonder what sort of dentist moves may be thrown in off-road racing. We've seen that in an LMP3 car. I'd be quite curious what would happen if we sent them out at Crandon or something to a land rush start. That would be fascinating.
Let's do it. We're throwing out so many ideas for the All-Star Invitational next season. We're gonna have a whole list to pick from. Whether it's that, whether it's heat racing, whether it's all 12 classes of cars together on track at the same time, or whether it's more of this, because this has been pretty fun as John Jones and Lou Christian and Maverick Davis have been finding out.
That's also J.R. Williams, a lapped car, so I think Jones and Williams have come together, and yeah, traffic here definitely not easy. You see the train of yellow, by the way. If you wanted to see where any of the Cup Series drivers were, that's the way you can cue up the Jaws music.
That's scientifically relevant there. We need to do a study here because everything has kind of regressed to the mean. You've got all the NASCAR Cup Series drivers in line. I think I saw in the background all the Truck Series drivers were in line. It's amazing how things even out sometimes.
Yeah, I'm very curious to go into Discord after this and ask how many drivers drove the trucks for the very first time for this event.
There's definitely a lot. I can't imagine Kevin Sandiego did with how good he's been doing, but there's been a driver turned around there. I think that's Lou Christian, maybe? No, that's J.R. Williams. It's the lap truck of J.R. Williams getting turned around. Lou Christian is that 22 truck with the NASCAR Cup Series colors. He's racing for position with John Jones, as is Landon Mills, as is Abner Acosta behind, but there goes Lou Christian.
Hardware.
I think that's a hardware issue. Lou Christian's wheel gives up in the middle of the straight, and that's terrible luck for a driver who's right on the precipice of the top 10.
Oh, as Julio Palacio sent into another dimension. That's something out of Starfield. But, yeah, wheels were left-hand down there for Lou Christian. Didn't seem like there was anything he could do.
That's terrible luck. Lou Christian won his first race in the NASCAR Cup Series this season after coming so close for so many seasons, after developing so much as a driver. That's bad luck for him, but Palacio does learn about that sticky fence and that wall that'll just flip you around. The F3 champion, a winless championship actually, so he was very consistent. But he's invited for the sake of the championship, and that's Wayne Castile running into some technical issues. The third place driver.
I don't think that was a technical.
Did he drive out of the park?
I think he drove too far out. I think he did exactly what you were warning everyone about slightly earlier.
Oh dear, I hope we don't have to break out Wayne Crash Steele, because it hasn't happened much in the LMP3 season, but it might have just happened for the first time.
Well, let's find out. It's that bump into turn 4, I think it starts. In fact, no, it's fine initially, and then too greedy with the rear end, and then gets just stuck in the catch fencing. Really nothing you can do after that.
That's happened to me so many times, Arjuna, doing these rookie races in official racing on iRacing, so I feel your pain, Wayne. I feel your pain.
Yeah, I've definitely never done that before. As turn 3 is just turned into a bit of a meeting point where everyone slows down and wants to have some words.
A cup festival. It's a cup festival at the hairpin every single time. Look at Dominic Olivier, the number 69 car. Dominant Dominic at times this season, and he's up an absolute heck ton of spots, 14 spots up. Somehow in 11th after running into all sorts of trouble. But speaking of drivers who have made up a ton of progress, Maverick Davis, 22 spots up from his starting position.
Yeah, that is crazy. And remember, coming out of the LCQ, Maverick Davis is in a very real spot to be able to potentially take advantage of what we expect to be more madness at Daytona. Let's be honest, plenty of drivers will have super speedway experience, but Joey, even if you're telling me the setup is going to provide us some sort of normal super speedway racing, it's in a car that's probably not what they're all expecting.
Exactly. That's why we did that deliberately, because there's a whole host of road course drivers and oval drivers in this field. We got to even out the field somehow, so we did that by putting dirt road course racing on, or putting off-road racing on the docket, and also putting in super speedway racing, which is the great equalizer. And right now, the great equalizer for Kevin Sandiego is running into a horrific amount of lap traffic. This is his final challenge. It's only about 3 laps to go.
Yeah, he's got 29 to get through first. That's going to be James O'Brien in 15th spot, has been able to lap almost half of the field in the almost 18 minutes that have run so far. It's been pretty consistent in terms of times as well. San Diego's best 52.85, the last time a 53.2, so less than half a second of fall off. given the conditions, given the craziness that's been going around San Diego, just staying out of trouble.
Bad news for fans of Ted Lowendick. He was having a great run in the top 10. I think, unfortunately, his Ohio internet has come to strike him down. And just like in the Spa 24, he's been kicked out of the car early.
Oh, no. It wasn't very punny. I was trying to be Joey, but, you know, I'm not.
There's not much you can do with Lowendick, is there?
No, I was trying Ohio. Ohio, no. You see, it was right in front of me the entire time.
Oh, hi, no, Ted. Oh, hi, no. He was having a great run. He won a race, Sergeant. That was he never won a race in the night we did on Tuesday nights with GT3 Racing, but he got it done against Abner Acosta in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at the Indianapolis Road Course. Very happy to be here, but unfortunately, his internet had other ideas.
Yeah, and that's a pretty...
Oh, but he's back. He's back, but he's a lap down. So I think he's still in the race, but his internet has decided to demote him for a full lap.
Okay. So it's one of those timing glitches that unfortunately sometimes happens. Yeah, that's a pretty impressive victory, let's be honest. Abner Acosta, tire whisperer at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which can be a tire eater at times. Well, John Jones tried to bully Dominic Olivier, but ended up bullying himself. Alan Dye slides on through.
Alan Dice, our Truck Series champion. If you can survive the NASCAR Truck Series, we had a lot of cautions at times that season. You can survive anything. So he's doing a great job here. Kevin San Diego hasn't taken the white flag yet. He's going to have one more time around when he crosses the line. He's only got a few more drivers to navigate through, and I think he has enough of a gap back to Beckham Jasir that he can back up here. He can ride. He's pretty safe to win race 1 of the All-Star Invitational, but anything can happen.
No, absolutely. I think that's the wise thing to do as well right now, is just to ride, especially if you see the car in front of you pushing and running that close. Remember, Loving is just up the road, so for James O'Brien, there is now still one more lap to try and get up to the back of that number 27, but San Diego has weathered it all, looks like a foot has been put wrong. In complete contrast to the likes of Adam Brockway, right? San Diego started on the front row. Brockway just inside of the top 10 and had to fight his way on forward.
He's done a fantastic job. He really hit a hot streak at the end of the LMP3 season, was behind his two teammates, Alec Bergstrom and Wayne Castile, for the longest time, but in the end, he was the driver who won multiple races to end the season, and he's going to be a championship contender when we come back to LMP3 racing once the PRL season starts in about a week's time. But in race 1 here, in dirt truck machinery, it's very different from what Kevin San Diego is used to in the PRL. He's a winner in Formula 3, he's a winner in Mazda MX-5s, and now he's the first PRL All-Star race winner. He wins at Wild West. But we'll see if he can win at Daytona or score enough points at Daytona to win the Invitational altogether. For now, though, he's got a win on the board, and he's got the biggest points all you can ask for.
He's not just the first winner in the All-Star, he's, correct me if I'm wrong, Joey, the very first winner of a dirt race in PRL history.
Not a dirt race. There were some sprint car races in the past.
Dang it.
The first off-road winner, we can say that.
Short course, there we go, I'll take it.
That works. First short course winner, first off-road winner. The guy who I'm very biased towards because he gives us one of our great PRL jingles. He gets it done. Beckham Jasir, great finish for him too, and Adam Brockway rounding out the podium. But this could be for critical points here. John Jones versus Steve Loving. Jones very wide. Not going to be able to go for a switchback like that. Steve Loving, who ran into some trouble in the opening laps, ends up in the top dozen.
Yeah, you don't want to get stuck out into all of the built-up dirt late in the race, and so just an unfortunate thing there for John Jones overcommitting. Well, that was definitely not the respite after the first race that anyone wanted. And don't worry, if you wanted a break, well, Daytona, Cadillac's next, you're not getting one.
Yeah, there's not going to be a break to breathe, but we will take a look at the results here for the moment. You're going to have to remember all these positions because it is a 2-race total point affair between these two races. Kevin San Diego starts off on the best note, 47 points in the bank for him. Beckham Jasir is going to be hoping to beat him at Daytona. Adam Brockway comes home third in the jumping trucks, and then Richard Regan Jr. and Jeff Evans round out the end of the top 5. Richard Regan Jr. put in a lot of practice coming into this, a lot of points for him. Maverick Davis, the LCQ transferee, or the first LCQ transferee, great race from him, up 23 spots into P6. Then Landon Mills and Dominic Olivier bring us down to the end of the top 8. Abner Acosta drove from early trouble to P8, and the Truck Series champion Alan Dice gets a top 10 in part 1 of the night. Dallas Sullivan, Steve Loving, and John Jones brought us down to the end of the lead lap. Our past winners transferee from the LCQ, James O'Brien, finished 14th, just off the lead lap. And then Hayden Palumbo, Ray Dominguez, Trent Dinkle, and J.R. Williams brought us to the end of the lead lap. Trent Dinkle, the favorite coming into tonight. He needs a lot of points coming into Daytona. Graham Wildman advanced from the LCQ, didn't quite have the luck of some of his fellow transferees, and Dave Peterson, our sole radical representative, ended up 3 laps down in 20th. But the hits keep on coming because Ted Lowendick would have been on for a fantastic result, but Ohio Internet had another idea. Julio Palacio, our F3 champion, and Errol Urexley, our GT3 Fix champion, rounded out the drivers who were 4 laps down. Wayne Castile was fighting for the podium. He drove it out of the park. Lou Christian, I believe, ended up flipping. And then Alec Bergstrom, Reese Bogue, Jared Keenan, Boris Ovando all ran into assorted amounts of trouble in the 23 laps we just ran. They're hoping for some better luck at Daytona. It may be too much to win the event altogether, but it would be good for some glory for them. But while we have a moment, we're going to take a quick chat to the winner of race number 1. Who else but Kevin Sandiego, Formula 3 driver, MX5 driver. Since when were you an off-road truck driver, Kevin Sandiego?
Today, I guess. It's fun, you know. I haven't really driven these things before, so really interesting challenge. Try to get it around the track quickly and completely different line from what you're used to, but super fun, super fun. Really felt bad for Trent. I think he got squeezed out when we were 3 wide. I'm not sure what happened, but he disappeared off the relative. But super fun race for sure.
Well, Kevin, congrats on the race 1 win. We'll see how you do at Daytona in a couple of moments' time, and we'll see you then. Kevin Sandiego gets the first win of the night. I'm sure we'll be talking to him a little bit later, Arjuna, after the event ends for sure. But we've got to take a look at the points here. Make sure we get these all in our mind. We're going to do some live calculations, but we got to remember the points from today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. So, again, pretty simple in terms of 2 races, not much time to make up ground. Sandiego 6 points to the good now over Beckham just here. Winning is very much rewarded, Joey, with that big jump between first and second, because it's 1 point increments down from that.
Well, we congratulate Kevin Sandiego on that very, very large points haul. Remember all the end of that top 10. Remember everybody who still finished on the lead lap. They're going to be looking for glory at Daytona. Even the likes of Steve Loving, who did run into some bad luck on the opening lap, had to serve a drive-through. He'll be trying to redeem himself in Daytona. John Jones, James O'Brien, and basically everybody down to the end of the top 20 may have a chance if there is drama, if there is chaos at Daytona. But remember those points, and remember all of that for the next race. But while we wait for everybody to load into Daytona, while we get all the bookkeeping done there, it's time for one of the best parts of the night. It's time for even more prizes. And for that, we throw it back to Arjuna and PRL head honcho, Jerome Bertillon.
Okay, welcome everyone for that second wave of prize draw. So for this wave, we have 4 sponsors that we're going to be doing drawing. So again, thanks everyone for all the drivers participating in the last season. So the first one of this wave will be Mechasim Hardware. So big thanks to Mechasim Hardware for providing amazing prices. So we're going to be drawing 2 gift cards of $75. So whether you're looking for handbrake, pedal, that's where you need to go. Mechasim Hardware, they are providing very, very strong and professionally built sim racing hardware. So the 3 winners are William Brennan, Arnaud Genet, James O'Brien. And now we move on to Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox Sim Racing provide amazing race flag, or whether you're looking for button box, that's the place to go. Thank you very much to Racebox for sponsoring us for many seasons now. And tonight we're gonna be drawing 3 prizes from Racebox. So 1 race flag LED display and 2 gift cards of $80. And the 3 winners are Michael Terrafino, Lou Christian, Nathan Deering. Congratulations. And now we move on Butt Kicker. So Butt Kicker will be drawing a Gamer Plus kit. So if you want to increase your sim racing experience, feel more the track or your pedal whatsoever, you need a Butt Kicker. So and we are very glad to have Butt Kicker on board with us for many years now, not seasons, many years now. So thank you very much to the folks at the Butt Kicker. And the winner of the Gamer Plus kit is Justin Delano. And now we move on for our last sponsor, and thank you very much to Advanced Sim Racing, sponsoring us also for many years now. I think you all know Advanced Sim Racing now. They're providing amazing cockpit, but it's also a one-stop shop. You can go on Advanced Sim Racing and you can find anything sim racing related. So thank you very much to Nick, Francis, and Marc-André from Advanced Sim Racing for their continuous support into our league. And they're going to be drawing 10 gift card of $100. So the winner are Adam Brockway, Patrick Coggill, Richard Pruitt, Garrett Austin, David Morse, Errol Uruksai, Jared Neen, Matthew Long, Beckham Jasir, and Ronald Overby. So congratulations everyone, and thank you again for your support.
We're back. It's Daytona. The Wild West dirt is gone, and the Florida asphalt is here. It's Cadillac CTSVs at the Daytona International Speedway for Part 2 of the PRL All-Star Invitational. This is where we crown our Invitational winner, Arjuna, as a 2-race total point affair. If you were successful in the previous race, you better hope you're successful here and can survive to the end.
Absolutely, and I think the one complexion that's going to be quite interesting is race at Daytona. We're not expecting cautions, of course, once we go racing, which somewhat counterintuitively means qualifying is important. A, so that you are in a position so that if the field splinters up, you are not broken away. But B, so that maybe you can start towards the front, stay out of danger. But that means playing with draft. It means playing with bump drafting as qualifying gets underway. These are the things the drivers will be thinking of.
And this is something we never see on an oval, Arjuna. It's open qualifying at a super speedway. You're going to need to master the draft. You're going to make sure you have to make sure you don't get a 0x from a bump draft. It's a type of qualifying session that none of these drivers have ever dealt with before. They're learning it for the first time right now.
Yes. No one is at an advantage here, despite the fact that there are plenty of drivers that come in here with experience in the Precision Racing League NASCAR ladder.
And NASCAR does not matter right now. This is why we picked this track. It is full throttle. It is pack racing. This is the great equalizer of the oval drivers, of the road drivers. It's a road car on an oval track, and you better hope you've got some buddies. You better hope that you have some cars to steal a draft of, because these are basically bricks on wheels, Arjuna. They're so wide. They're punching a huge box in the air, and if you can get the biggest draft of anybody, you're going to be on pole.
Yeah, this is one where if you're at the front, if you're punching the hole in the air, sorry, buddy, you're starting down towards the back. It is as simple as that. There are no ifs or buts about it. Everyone knows what they need to do here. Barney the Flagman's got a great view. We've already got cars into the wall. That bodes well.
It bodes very, very well. Everybody's starting their first laps here. There were only a few drivers in this field who actually know what this feels like. There were a few drivers who helped us test this out. There was Jeff Evans, of course, who built the setup. But that doesn't really matter right now. It's all about the luck of the draft. It's all about the help you get. We're about to see the first drivers completing their laps. That's Alan Dice wrecking into the wall. They've got to make sure to get back out on track because there's not much time to set a lap. It takes about 45 seconds to get around here. There's only 3 minutes to go, but I think we're going to start to see our first laps come in a couple of moments.
Yeah, I think they are rounding out of turn 4 just about now, and so these 4 drivers in the slingshot are going to be the first ones that we see at the line, that we get a sense for what the times are going to be. But let's not forget that realistically, you probably want to be building the speed over the entirety of the qualifying session. It's probably not the first lap that's going to be the quickest. It might be the second, it might be the third, although if you go 3 wide like Beckham Jasir is thinking now, I can tell you it won't be that lap.
And there are no real teammates in this. There's no teams that have entered with each other. Maybe you have some buddies from your series that you want to team up with, but it is every driver for themselves, and they need to figure out who's going to be helpful to them, who can they work with, and who can they get a draft from. Because right now, it's a mishmash of everybody. It's Steve Loving on pole for the moment. Understandable for him as an oval driver. He's found the draft, but Jared Keane, He's a GT3 driver. I don't know how much oval experience he's had, but he's got a heck of a double draft from the two drivers in front here.
Yeah, this is the one oval where there is, I don't want to say less skill, because it's a different type of skill at the end of the day, but you're not so worried about managing the tires and trying to get through the corners as efficiently as possible, right? You're just thinking about speed, about the numbers ticking upwards. It's like that scene in Top Gun, right? Top Gun Maverick, when Tom Cruise is flying the test plane, he hits Mach 10, and then like everyone who wants to go fast, he gets the urge, he pushes the nose down, and he just tries to eke a little bit more out. That's what they're trying to do right now. Minimize the angle of the steering and just try and be as efficient as possible.
There's not many really big packs that people are working with. This is one of the biggest ones. It's 4 drivers with Richard Regan Jr., with Alan Dice, and a few other of the NASCAR drivers. They've all found each other on track. There could be some big speed here as everybody crosses the line. Does anybody fire up to the top of the timesheets? They don't. Yes, they do, actually. Trent Dinkle, good lap from him. Graham Wildman, huge lap from the driver who advanced from the LCQ. He puts it up in a 3rd.
Yeah, and you're seeing distinct differences as well, right? Look at Jeff Evans, who's up on the high line in just a pack of 3, versus what we've got at the top of the screen, which is strength in numbers right now. First group of 5, second group almost of 7 cars. That is a lot more momentum that's being built up. These are the words that NBC, that Fox like to use when they come to tracks like this.
Gonna have to use some of those other words as well. Crank it up, maybe, because we're hearing the beautiful engine notes of this Cadillac. This is not an oval racing car. It doesn't sound like a normal stock car does. It is just ringing off the walls of Daytona. I hope everybody in the stands brought their hearing protection, because this is insane in a way we've never seen it. Graham Wildman, the LCQ advancer, puts it on pole.
And now that's going to be his qualifying done as well. Jared Keane got ran up into the wall. Wildman is back down on pit lane, so we'll not see a further improvement out of him. A big wiggle from behind. But look at the margins. It's half a second through the top 15 or so. 2/1000ths between the top 2.
A little bit of funkiness with the numbers being assigned. So Graham Wildman ends up with the 5 by accident. Oh, and there's a massive accident in turns 2 and 3. That's going to be the end of those guys' qualifying sessions. But what a run for Wildman. He's been given the 5 sort of accidentally. That's Abner Acosta's number normally, and he is channeling the spirit of Abner Acosta to put it on pole there.
That looks like fun on the run to the line.
I'm sure we'll see that in 20 minutes' time.
No cautions, right, Joey? No green, white checkers?
It's going to be green all the way.
Okay, good. Checker flag flies. Will we see any late improvements? Not from what we can see, and there's a car spinning in the background, and that means that a couple more drivers will get the 0x contact, and no improvement for them either.
I'm kind of dumbfounded right now because every single driver managed to get a qualifying lap in. I did not expect everybody to be able to do that in such a short window, but well done, everybody. All 29 drivers on the board.
Yeah, not bad, and it sets up the field quite interestingly as well, because you've got plenty of oval drivers, yes, up towards the front, but look at Jared Keane. You mentioned him. Dominic Olivier in the mix as well. Oh, it's a really interesting field, and they're all led by the driver that made it forward from the LCQ.
Graham Wildman survived MX-5s at the Irwindale Figure 8, and he's ready for even more chaos and drama here. It's Daytona, and it is one of the most popular drivers in the YouTube chat for the PRL. He's always got family and friends tuning in for the Graham Cam, and they're going to see Graham Wildman start from pole for the first time in the PRL, alongside Steve Loving, who had some bad luck with some start issues in the truck race. He's back for redemption on the outside of the front row, and Jared Keane and Dominic Olivier, it's a GT3 pair on row number 2. Dallas Sullivan, a NASCAR Truck Series winner in the dying moments. He was the last driver to win a race in the PRL this season and qualify for this event. He starts alongside our F3 champion, Julio Palacio, on row number 3. Then it's Trent Dinkle. Could have won, should have won maybe, that truck race earlier, ended up upside down, and he is going to have to fight to win this All-Star Invitational altogether, starting alongside Ted Lowendick, who also had some issues in that truck race. John Jones and Alec Bergstrom make up row number 5, and then it's Reese Bogue, who won at a Super Speedway in the Xfinity Series this season, alongside the winner from the previous event tonight in the Jumpy Trucks. Kevin Sandiego starts on row number 6. Alan Dice, unlucky 13th, alongside our provisional driver, Jeff Evans. Arrow Urexoy, GT3 Fixed Champion, alongside Richard Regan Jr., who won at Daytona in the Xfinity Series when we ran that to end that season. James O'Brien advanced from the LCQ. He starts 17th, alongside the Tire Wizard himself. He's won at Daytona in the PRL before, Abner Acosta. 19th, Adam Brockway starts alongside his LMP3 Moradness teammate Wayne Castile. And then it's Ray Dominguez and J.R. Williams, F3 and GT3 fixed on row 11. Maverick Davis, NASCAR Cup Series driver in the PRL. He knows oval racing. He knows super speedway racing, just as does Lou Christian, who starts alongside him on row number 12. Beckham Jasir, second place in the truck race. He's got a lot of progress to make forward if he wants to win the All-Star Invitational altogether. Starts alongside Landon Mills on row 13. Then it's Dave Peterson, Hayden Palumbo, and Boris Ovando. 3 different series, 3 different drivers at the end of the top 29. But it's a rolling start this time, as unfortunately, Arjuna, that's what we're forced to do at Daytona. And you can feel the tension rise, just as it does with every super speedway race. But this is a super speedway race like we've never seen before.
I'm just saying, given that we did standing starts with the jumpy trucks, we could have tried to find a way to force standing starts here. That would have been
We could theoretically get on the radio and tell all the drivers to park it in front of the start-finish line, but I think we would probably wreck more cars than they did at the start of the IndyCar race.
Yeah, I've commentated on standing starts here at Daytona. You know what happens? They all just fall off the banking. So no, we don't need to do that. What I will say is, no cautions means I hope you're ready for some arc brakes, Joey, because there is going to be plenty of pedal to the floor with the right foot. No sort of concerns of covering the brakes. And let's all just remember, as it runs right now, if we finish as we start, Kevin Sandiego's still doing enough to be the very first PRL All-Star.
Indeed he is, but no cautions, as Arjuna said, as the drivers were just re-informed, so you do need to be a little bit careful. You're going to want to survive to the end of the race. You don't want to wreck the field early and end your chance early. Damage healing is on, but if you lose the draft, that's just as much of a hindrance as crashing out and ending up in the pits.
Absolutely. You need to make sure you stay out of trouble here. I said jokingly, arc brake's going to be quite common here, but we saw in the last chance qualifier that there were cars that stood on the anchors to try and avoid the intersection. We're going to have to see some of that same mindfulness from drivers as the pace car gets ready to peel off, 20 minutes away from an all-star being crowned.
Graham Wildman did not win a single race this season, but he advanced from the LCQ, and he starts from pole for the first time in the PRL. It's race 2 of the All-Star Invitational. In 20 minutes' time, we're going to crown an inaugural winner of this event. It's a great start from Wildman. He's pulled out quite the gap to everybody behind, but sometimes we realize that's not a great thing at super speedways, and he's got a very hungry pack coming to swallow him up.
It is just the calm before the storm right now. There is plenty of side-by-side action, and maybe less than expected. The field somewhat splintering up its initial formation as we peel our way in towards turn number 3. But with all 29 machines still building up the momentum, Wildman now getting caught at the front.
Steve Loving pulls out, moves to the outside. The draft is very, very effective in this combo. We tested this for this very purpose. If you pulled out of the draft, we wanted you to be able to make the move on the outside, and Steve Loving's doing just that. He's got help from Dominic Olivier behind him, and Dallas Sullivan as well. Somebody's hard into the wall. I think that's Boris Ovando all the way at the back of the field. His night might be over already. No, that's Richard Regan Jr., fourth place finisher from the last race. He's out already. He's hoping for some more chaos up front, and he might just get it because we're 3 wide in the second row.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Regan Jr. Abner Acosta got tangled up as well and has lost a bunch of ground, but you're right. It is 2, 3, and almost 4 wide now on that run up in towards turn 3. Loving in the middle, the LCQ advancee down low, and Lowendick with the push up high.
Ed Lowendick didn't win a race on a super speedway in the Xfinity Series this season, but it was his first foray into oval racing, and now he gets turned by Trent Dinkle right in front of the field. That's almost the entire field caught up, and it is. Somebody gets sent into space. I think that was one of our GT3 drivers who went about as high as one of those SpaceX rockets from Cape Canaveral. Drivers tumble through the grass, and it's only a matter of time that it took that long.
Yep, we got through 2 minutes, about 2 laps, and now it's, 7 cars at the front. Wildman, Loving, Olivier, Dinkle, Bogue, Jones, O'Brien, and they're not going to stop, even though the field's been decimated. 3 wide, Olivier giving the push to Wildman, and look at the push Dinkle is getting on the high side.
Trent Dinkle leads for the second, but doesn't actually get to take the lead because the momentum's not there. The push from Bogue was not there. This is basically going to be the fight for the win. James O'Brien is within draft range as well, not in your screen. There's 7 cars that made it through that incident. They're going to fight for that win. One driver who didn't make it through, Kevin Sandiego, who won race 1. He can finish about 13th at best if there's no wrecks in front of him.
Again, look at the live points just to run you down through how it stands. Dominic Olivier would need to win. As he slides up to second, he's 1 point behind Wildman. For San Diego, if he drops down a position and Dominic Olivier finishes second, the All-Star title would be his. These are the margins that we're talking about. Look at Wildman, though, doing all that he can up front. Still not enough to pip San Diego.
And it is very possible that we saw sort of a bad push from Trent Dinkel, maybe a bad being the push-E from Ted Lowendick. That's what turned them in front of the field. That could happen here as well. These 7 that are safe right now, one bad push and suddenly it all ends. But let's take a look at what happened to everybody up front. That's Ted Lowendick at the head of the top train, and I think Trent Dinkel just gave him a bad push and collected the entire field.
Yeah. Someone goes space shuttle status as Dominic Olivier is having some technical issues, but fortunately reasserts himself on the timing screen. Just cycle back one more time. And
yeah,
look,
who was that who went to space?
I'm not 100% sure. It might have been J.R. Williams, but what surprised me here is just how little room there actually was for people to come on through. Look at the yellow car coming through with the momentum at the end and safely diving through the situation.
I can reveal, by the way, that was Errol Urexoy who ended up in the air, and I think that's a PRL height record. I don't think anybody's ever been that high before.
Should we find out what that looked like from Errol Urexoy's perspective?
You know the answer to that question, of course.
So, this is not playing race cars loud as much as it's playing replays. I'm trying to come up with a pun, but I'm really struggling to describe what we're about to see, because... hellacious. Just wait. Oh my goodness.
Put some Claire de Lune on that. He's going to space.
If he's in virtual reality, does he have a bucket next to him by chance?
I hope he does. Coming into this event as the GT3 fixed champion. He's coming back to defend his title next season. We might have to call him the Spaceman. I think that's his new name.
Oh, that's... I hope he plays plenty of Starfield as well, because that seems rather fitting right now. Look at Dinkel, experience, going up high, trying to cover the run now, going back down low, making sure that he's in the groove that he wants to be. With the field being reduced in numbers, surely this benefits him right now. And look, even with all the struggles, Trent Dinkel is 1 point back of Kevin Sandiego at the front of the field.
A little bit of contact there, a little bit of a dicey push from Reese Bogue on Trent Dinkel. These are both guys with lots of super speedway experience, though. Reese Bogue, his win this season came in the Xfinity Series at Atlanta. He beat his own teammate Richard Regan Jr. to that win, and now he's got to help Trent Dinkel for as long as he can, and maybe wait for about 14 more minutes to pull out and go for the win himself.
Keep an eye on the fact that, by the way, Kevin Sandiego is in a fight as well, and so those live standings are chopping and changing on the second-by-second basis, and you can see squirrely in both packs. Beckham Jasir gets deposited off into the grass, and now green and red lights up the standings.
It's pretty incredible how everybody who ended up running up front here is in contention for the win. James O'Brien, who's in the lead now, advanced from the LCQ. How incredible would that be for a driver who didn't win this season, had to fight his way through the figure eight? He could win this event altogether.
It's remarkable. This format just does work, doesn't it? Here's a look at what happened to Beckham Jasir. The iRacing safety car gets in the way, but yeah, not a nice one to be in the cockpit by any means. And if you cycle further back, you can just see that the 5 cars that they had trying to work together here, not all working in the same groove.
See it again through the tri-oval, just out of the groove. That was one of the F3 drivers. I think that was J.R. Williams potentially. Maybe just a little bit of inexperience in this format. It's very easy to not have experience pushing cars in a Cadillac. It's not a normal thing to do. So that's very understandable that happened.
James O'Brien's now in front on the live standings, but not anymore, because John Jones, whoever wins this race, might be our winner. It might come down to the final lap.
Because John Jones, Dominic Olivier, James O'Brien, and even Steve Loving, they're all up front. They can all, even Trent Dinkel as well, they can all mathematically win this thing. Kevin Sandiego right now is just hoping he doesn't lose more spots back there. He's hoping that in his little pack of Brockway, Ovando, and Lowendick, he can lead that and make up as many points as he needs.
San Diego's on board. On the bottom of your screen, you see the perspective that the winner on the jumpy truck side of things is now having to deal with. Each position is worth a point, with the exception of the difference between first and second, which rewards the driver that's able to be the most aggressive. For San Diego and company, just got to make sure they don't get tangled up. San Diego's right now at the very back of the pack as well. That will give him some confidence, knowing that he could finish as high as 12th, but from 15th spot, he could also tumble down the order.
I don't know why we don't have engine sounds like this on an oval more often, because it's just ringing out. That's not to say that the NASCAR machinery sounds bad nowadays. It's still very, very loud. But this engine note from this Cadillac, it's not something you normally hear at Daytona. You normally hear it on the road course. You never hear it from the full oval.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got a better sounding Cadillac now on the iRacing platform, courtesy of the prototype that has graced us with its presence and will grace...
Unfortunately, that one doesn't push as well. We tried it.
Okay, we did try it. I was curious. The thing is, it is going to grace the PRL broadcast presence next season, so looking forward to that. Here's Abner Acosta, by the way, even after Richard Regan Jr. got tangled up on the opening lap of the race. Acosta's in that second pack. They're 6 seconds off, but 2 by 2, you can see the red and yellows forming up. There's a bit of allegiances going on.
Ketchup and mustard battling here in the middle of the field. How about that? We just need the green cars to come around, and we'll have a full hot dog of colors here.
Are you team ketchup or are you team mustard?
Both. You got to do both.
Good. I agree. Firmly agree.
I like the flavor combination. I like both of them. I want relish. I want onions. I want the whole gamut of flavors. And we're getting the first little bit of lap traffic here. We haven't seen much of that tonight, but for the first time, I believe that was Steve Loving. No, Steve Loving's in the lead pack. That was somebody else going a lap down. It was one of the Truck Series drivers. I couldn't tell you who.
Look at the disrespect that you just threw on Steve Loving. You just assumed naturally that it was going to go one lap down.
You know, he already had some trouble in the truck race tonight. He already had some issues jumping the start, I believe. So we can only kick him down so much.
Fair, good point. And again, just keep in mind that the standings on that right side are going to chop and change as the lead chops and change. So it's hard for us to really get a good sense, but with half of the second race of the event done, boy, Christian Horner foot taps are starting to build on my side of the US, Joey. How's it feeling on the East Coast?
I'm more of a Toto Wolff foot taps kind of guy.
Oh, or maybe you mean headset smash kind of guy.
Yeah, maybe a headset smash, monitor destruction. That might be what happens to some of these drivers, because if we do get another almighty wreck, which could very well happen with this top 7, there's going to be some very unhappy drivers, because basically everybody in this pack right now is a championship contender. If that falls apart, suddenly Kevin San Diego is sitting very pretty.
Where is Kevin San Diego? He's up to 14th, but still not at the front of that second group, which is good. Let's be real. No matter where you are on the track, you don't want to be the car leading your group around you. You want to be in the draft. You want to be trying to suck up, because it's on that last lap where you're going to finally try and build that momentum, take advantage of the overspeed that you have. Having said all of that, though, we haven't seen anything to offer that the car second in line, or even the car on the outside, is necessarily going to really be in a spot to challenge all the way to the line. Look, almost a car length between the inside and outside lines at the start-finish stripe.
We saw Trent Dinkle peeking his nose out just a little bit. Maybe that's to put some fresh air on the nose to cool things down. Maybe that's just kind of showing Graham Wildman that he's not afraid to pass him once the time comes. You can never predict what Trent Dinkle's going to do, but he's a very savvy driver, has many, many wins in the PRL. I believe he's put himself in the top 5 all-time in terms of wins. We can't see much of him, though, because John Jones is doing such a good job of being pushed that we're seeing a good shot of the inside of a Cadillac.
And the RaceSpot logos that add a good 10, 20, 50 horsepower to each of these Cadillacs rolling around the track.
10 seconds a lap.
Exactly. It shows you right there just how precise you've got to be with the push, both as the one doing the pushing and the one being pushed as the pushee. You've got to make sure you are hitting each other as aligned as possible, not slightly offset with a driver maybe having part of their nose in clean air. These drivers are right now risking the fire, as that was Reese Bogue, who I think has crinkled in the rear wing for a second. Fortunate that the damage is healing today.
And if you like what you're seeing here, I do have to remind everybody that signups for the PRL next season are still open. The season kicks off in about a week's time. 10 different series, or 9 different series, if my math is correct. 11 classes of cars coming in next season. You're not going to be able to race Cadillac CTSVs on an oval, but you can race everything from every type of prototype to open wheel to NASCAR. And if you do succeed in those, you might just be in the next All-Star Invitational if we do this again next season. And I think with what we're seeing here, that's a pretty strong thing to chase if you want to race in this. This looks incredibly fun.
The thing is, Joey, and I hope you're ready for the challenge that you've set yourself. Doing this 4 times a year means coming up with 4 unique combos that all work. I hope you're ready for the challenge.
It's going to be quite a challenge. iRacing just recently added the ability to have 12 different types of car in a session, so I have an idea in my mind that we get every single type of car in the PRL, all 11 classes on track at the same time, but that's we're going to workshop that one because there's all sorts of issues with manufacturers. Oh, there's a little bit of contact in the background. It's not on your screen, but I think that may have been Alan Dice, Landon Mills. There it is. Truck Series drivers and Cup Series drivers finally come together, and the reason I call this out is because this is positions for Kevin Sandiego.
Where is Kevin Sandiego? Taking the freebies that have cycled him, not just back to the point, but now, crucially, into a spot where he could drop behind not both Ted Lowendick and Boris Ovando, but one of the two, and still be in front of John Jones no matter where the number 90 finishes.
John Jones needs to hope for a wreck. James O'Brien may still be in contention. I got to do some math there. It's not the easiest thing to do, but Kevin Sandiego in very good shape right now. He's just got to hope that he doesn't get involved in an incident of his own back there in that pack. And all of these guys, with only 5 minutes to go, that's not many laps to go. If you want to win this race, if you want to get to the lead, you've got to figure out a way to break this 2x2 that we've got up front.
John Jones came into this race 1 point better off than James O'Brien. That means that when he's at the front, he's got 77 to his name. When O'Brien leads, there's just 76 to his name. That's an important figure because Sandiego on 79 in 11th spot can drop down to 13th and still be in front of James O'Brien. Not the case for Jones, and these are some of those things that Sandiego is probably not aware of, but we can think about, we can question the moves that are being made. I'm pretty sure James O'Brien led at the stripe that time by.
I think he did. I'm looking at my timing. He led by 0.03 seconds at the line. That could be the difference in about 5 laps time when this race finishes. And John Jones in the lead is representing the GT3 Fix Series. He won the season opener there at Watkins Glen. He was kind of surprised himself. But he is a NASCAR specialist. He raced in the NASCAR Cup Series in this series as well, so he is not unfamiliar with this style of racing, and he's really showing it up front. Here's what happened between the Truck Series drivers and the Cup Series drivers through the Tri-Oval. Multiple drivers involved, multiple drivers turned. Hayden Palumbo, Dallas Sullivan. There's some hellacious crashes.
Yeah, it's been a pretty rough one. These drivers not willing to let off the throttle, and now the front starting to be a bit more disjoint in the lines that are being formed. There is a rough 2x2 formation, but they all fanned out for a moment. You've got Jones on the inside being pushed by Wildman, and now Dinkle leading the second higher line with the push from Bogue, and then O'Brien shuffled back to third on the outside.
And I wonder if Trent Dinkle's going to be thinking here, should I have been a little bit more conservative in that truck race? Should I have hung back knowing that I could be one of the fastest drivers in the field? Should I have shaved myself a little bit more? Because if I didn't flip like that, I might be winning the All-Star Invitational right now, but there's nothing Dinkle can do other than hope that Kevin Sandiego wrecks.
3.5 minutes to go. So I believe 4 or 5 laps to run, and these drivers still in that 2x2, and with drivers now very much committed to the inside or the outside. They have been running those lines for the majority of the race so far. You don't expect that to change, and it's all about making the most of what they've got now.
So basically, with the calculations in my head, things are looking very good for Kevin Sandiego. As things are right now, if Kevin finishes where he is, and no matter who wins in this lead pack, I think Kevin Sandiego does win. But if he loses positions, then things get a little bit crazy. He's got to stay where he is, or else he's not got it on lock.
I think I agree with your logic there. Remember,
we're not mathematicians. We are not mathematicians. I dropped out of Calc 2 weeks in.
I have a bachelor's in computer science, so theoretically I should be half decent at math. But what I will say is San Diego's in a great spot, second on the inside. He's not the one punching the hole in the air. That's Adam Brockway. So as much as you've got a car on the high side that's trying to make something happen, I think San Diego's in a pretty comfortable spot to know 79 is probably the minimum that he will get. 80 is the theoretical maximum that he might see, unless there is more drama to play for these drivers at the very front. It means ultimately, none of these drivers can do much unless there's trouble behind.
Gonna be 3 laps to go at the line. This is when things start to get dicey. This is when things get critical. Because if you want to win this race, you're probably not calculating the points in your head right now. You just know you need to win, you want to win, and you need to start making moves quickly. Look at Steve Loving, 7th in line. He's just been hanging back and hunting in that red Cadillac for the longest time, and now it's go time for Steve. He's on the move.
Yeah, they're all starting to push the tempo. The issue just that little bit more. You can see the urgency. And now Reese Bow getting a little bit squirrely after O'Brien gave the bump to the bumper. It means that the outside line a little bit now disformed, but with plenty of momentum, will Dinkle decide to duck down low?
The way things have shaken out here, it is 6 drivers with PRL NASCAR experience and Graham Wildman just in the center of it all. Who's going to win this in 2 laps' time? It's Trent Dinkle leading right now, but he's going to take 2 laps to go, and they're 3 wide now. Steve Loving in the middle. This could end in an almighty crash if they don't keep out of each other. Reese Bogue is giving some aggressive pushes, and here comes Steve Loving through the middle in the red Cadillac.
San Diego's up to 10th, not where he wants to be, as Bogue gets thrown up into the wall. O'Brien's going to get tangled up in that one, unfortunately. Wildman still on the inside and pushing Jones to the lead.
It was the other white car. Arjuna's right. It was James O'Brien. Wildman's still alive. He's got a chance at the win. Mathematically, the event win isn't going to happen for him. But what a glorious occasion this would be for Graham Wildman. If he can get the win from advancing from the LCQ, he peeks to the outside as we're going to take the white flag here. John Jones leads with 2.5 miles to go, but he's got 4 drivers breathing down his neck.
And it's going to be helter-skelter here as Wildman on the outside almost gets turned on the front nose of Dinkle. Half a nose in front, in through turn number 1. Let's not forget San Diego leading the train for 10th on back as well as they start their final lap of the race.
Backstretch for the final time. Things are getting squirrely. Graham Wildman in that white car in a very unfamiliar position, being pushed by the NASCAR Cup Series champion Trent Dinkle. There's race winners, and there's Graham Wildman. Dominic Olivier turns John Jones. What a save for Jones through turn 3 as everybody files through turn 4 for the final time. Wildman's going to get a push from Trent Dinkle. It's a drag race to the line. Dinkle through the middle. Jones on the bottom. Wildman gets turned and across the line. John Jones wins at Daytona, but you've got to go about 9 positions back as they wreck across the line because mathematically it's been sealed. Kevin San Diego, first place in the trucks, 11th or 12th or 13th or something at Daytona. Either way, it all adds up to the inaugural PRL All-Star Invitational going to Kevin San Diego.
The fireworks go off, and it was by 2 points. 2 positions across 40 minutes of wild racing that Kevin San Diego can say he is the best that the Precision Racing League has to offer the very first time of asking.
What an incredible event it's been. The fireworks go off. What a finish, wrecking across the line. 25 thousandths of a second in it, Arjuna, as a couple drivers still trying to finish their runs. I think that was one of our GT3 drivers having a little bit of fun with the turn 4 wall. But that's a Daytona finish for the history books, wrecking across the line, nothing in it.
Absolutely. That is the definition of leaving it out there. Couple of questionable blocks maybe being thrown. I'm sure there are some drivers that will be wondering, even in what is an exhibition event, were some of those moves necessary, but ultimately, wonderful time for these drivers to enjoy their off-season, and now 7 days away from picking things back up for 2023 Season 4.
Well, that was an insane race in the books, and it was won by John Jones. He gets his second win of the PRL season. Technically, not going to be a win that goes in the history books, but he already got that at Watkins Glen earlier this year. Dominic Olivier and Trent Dinkle and Steve Loving and Graham Wildman all kind of wrecked across the line with him. in an insane finish. Graham Wildman going to be very happy with advancing from the LCQ, finishing in the top 5 in this race. Great performance for him. Reese Bogue ended up at the end of the top 6 at the end of that lap in the wall. James O'Brien was in that lead pack, but he had the bad luck of getting turned down the backstretch. He finishes 7th after advancing from the LCQ. Landon Mills, Abner Acosta, and Adam Brockway all ran into assorted amounts of trouble, but still finished on the lead lap, still get a top 10 for their efforts in a dramatic race tonight. Kevin Sandiego unceremoniously finishes 11th at Daytona, but it's just enough with his truck win to win the PRL All-Star Invitational. Ted Lowendick joins him in P12. What might have been for Ted Lowendick if the internet didn't kick him out? What might have been for Steve Loving as well if he didn't have some trouble as well? Boris Ovando, way better than his time in the trucks after flipping. He finishes 13th. And Jeff Evans, the Painters Provisional, doesn't get it done, 14th at Daytona, just like he finished 2nd in the Xfinity Series and lost to Richard Regan Jr. Ray Dominguez, Maverick Davis, Alec Bergstrom, the aforementioned Richard Regan Jr., Lou Christian, and Julio Palacio, our F3 champion, round us down to the end of the top 20. 21st went to Jared Keene. Last driver on the lead lap was Alan Dice. And then we start to get into the drivers who had quite a bit of trouble. Hayden Palumbo, a Truck Series winner this season, went 2 laps down. We saw Dallas Sullivan in a massive wreck, as were Dave Peterson and Beckham Jasir. The Spaceman Errol Urexoy went higher than the grandstands. I hope he had a soft landing. And J.R. Williams and Wayne Castile rounded out the end of the field. 29 cars at Daytona. Even with damage healing, it's a shock that 22 of them managed to finish at the end of that, Arjuna. But we've got the driver first and foremost who won the race at Daytona. We've got Mr. John Jones. John, the points didn't quite go your way. It's going to be 2nd overall in the All-Star Invitational.
Oh,
it was a win at Daytona.
That is much better than I ever thought it would be. That was a lot of fun. I hope they do this every year.
Well, we might just have to do it with how fun it was. Talk us through how that run was to the line. 5 drivers wrecking across the line. Did you even know you won until you saw the results?
No, I didn't. I thought I was just a sitting duck out there. I just knew that if on the last lap, if Trent cleared me out there, then he was going to come down, and there was nothing I could do about it. But I don't know what happened to him. But yeah, I thought I was a sitting duck out there.
Well, John, you might not be a sitting duck. I think we're going to call you a winning duck from now on. I don't know if there's more aquatic phrases we can use, but you're a winner at Daytona in the PRL All-Star Invitational. Congratulations, and we'll see you in about a week's time for the next PRL season.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. Thank you.
John Jones, a GT3 winner, a full-time NASCAR Cup driver in the PRL, and a winner at Daytona in the All-Star Invitational. But we've got the driver who got it all done. Kevin Sandiego, first in the truck race, only 11th at Daytona, but the math is all added up that you are the inaugural PRL All-Star Invitational winner. How good does that feel?
Amazing. Yeah, that feels great. You know, the truck race was really fun. Ovals is not something I ever do, so that was definitely interesting. I didn't quite understand what I was supposed to be doing there, but yeah, pleased to have pulled it out. That's incredible. Thanks.
Well, Kevin, it's a historic moment for you. You're going to be the first All-Star Invitational driver in the history books, but you're also going to come home with a couple of prizes. You're going to get the poster that's normally given out to all season champions, and critically, you're going to race for free in the PRL next season. Where are we going to see you?
Yeah, definitely in F3, and you know, if Miatas were running, I would definitely run that, but I think just F3 this season. So looking forward to it. Should be fun.
Well, we saw you win in F3 for the first time this season. I'm sure you've got a ton of confidence there and a ton of confidence from this. We'll see you in a couple weeks' time when that season kicks off.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Kevin Sandiego, the inaugural PRL All-Star Invitational winner, makes all those songs I've sung about him worth it. But we've got some other drivers to talk to as well. Let's talk to one of the stars from the LCQ, Graham Wildman. Didn't win a race this season. You came very close at Road America, but you won your way in through the LCQ, and you were looking like an oval master there at the end of Daytona. How did that feel?
Well, what can I say? I don't run ovals often, but I think I got to run some more after a race like that. That was definitely a nail-biter there at the end.
So we know that your GR86s are gone from the PRL next season. Where are we going to see you now that you've got to pick a new series?
I'm moving up into the GT4s for this season. I think it'll be a good change. The GR86s are a bit too draft dependent. I just felt like it was a draft party for that whole season, so I'm excited for a new one.
Well, Graham, I know your fan club in the chat is very happy. You got a lot of airtime tonight. Congrats on advancing in the first place, and we'll see you in next season to see if you can get that first win.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Graham Wildman coming home in 5th in this race, but greatly advancing from that LCQ, and we'll do a quick double chat with the 2 drivers who also advanced from the LCQ. James O'Brien and Maverick Davis came in tonight not knowing if you were going to race in the All-Star Invitational, but both of you made it, starting with you, James. How fun was that at the end of the day?
Well, which part? The Miata? That was just a matter of survival. I really just didn't want to die.
I don't think anybody wanted to die. At Daytona in the trucks, though, great run for you. You were in contention for the longest time to win this whole thing. Did you think you could do it?
The trucks, I had 5 minutes of practice, so I didn't think I had any shot, but then I found myself somehow in the top 10 and then made a mistake. In the Cadillacs, me and Trent were definitely trying to team up and do something there, but some bad pushes and somebody going 3 wide kind of ruined all that, but that was a lot of fun. I wish the cars drove like that normally.
And Maverick, really quick, you competed against James in the Cup Series this season. Are we going to see you back there in the PRL next season?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we'll see both of you guys back in the Cup Series. It was great watching you advance your way through the LCQ, and it was great watching both of them compete for this win, Arjuna. Both of them proved that they deserve to advance, and they'll definitely deserve to win a race next season.
Yeah, and I wonder if they'll take some confidence from it as well, because they had to fight their way on forward, right? They weren't necessarily just thrown up there and given the chance to hold on to good track position. So, yeah, I think a really fun event. I think everyone had a smile on their face, and now when they return for competition in just a couple of weeks' time, Joey, that's going to get wiped away, and they'll be all serious once more.
All serious once more. Gosh darn it. But somehow I think there's going to be a lot of fun in the PRL next season, as there always is. Remember, signups are still open if you want to race in the many series. I think only a few of them are full up. So whether it's stock cars, whether it's sports cars, whether it's anything like that, the PRL is open for you. And how else could we end the night other than talking to the guy who makes all the PRL possible? It's the big man himself, Jerome Bertiome. Jerome, I gotta ask you at the end of the night, it's the first time we ever did this. You believed in this crazy idea I had, and how much fun was that?
And that was amazing, and I'm super glad we make it happen. And yeah, it was a fantastic show. I had a lot of fun to watch. I hope the driver had a lot of fun, and big thanks to you, Joey, to organize all of that. When you came with that idea, I mean, I knew I would have been busy at that time of the year with new season coming in, projects, and also back to school. So you had to manage everything on your own, and you did a fantastic job, my man. It's amazing. All the organization you did around that. Yeah, I think we have to do that every season now.
I mean, we got the endorsement from the man himself, so it might just happen, but it was an effort of many people, from me, from Jerome helping to put on the event, from all the organizers, from Jeff Evans, who put together the sessions and helped us with some testing, from Arjuna, who helped put together all of this in a Race Spot broadcast that wasn't originally on the schedule. It's been a great effort from everybody, but from me, from Arjuna, from Jerome, from everybody involved, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for tuning into this PRL season. We'll see you once the full season kicks off in a couple of weeks' time, a couple of days' time for that matter. But until we see you then, so long.